All right, the future of Bitcoin, what's going to happen? Quick prediction of what's going to happen. I see Bitcoin going to be a global reserve replacement. And what is it going to be replacing? It's going to be replacing really gold. A lot of people don't know that, can't figure it out, don't understand it. But the future is becoming more and more digital. Our wealth is becoming more digital. If you didn't know it, most of your wealth, if it's in a bank, it's digitized. It's not in a vault locked up somewhere in dollar bills. And this is all by design. It's not by, it's not because of the way society is naturally being molded. We're being pushed in this direction. As you see, it's kind of what we call predictive programming. You see how people are seeing what's going on with money printing. So they're getting scared. And what do? They're looking for alternatives. Right now, there isn't any sufficient alternatives other than precious metals. I'm going to tell you, here's the pattern. First, it's going to be a collapse of the dollar, or a substantial collapse in the dollar, meaning the dollar value is going to be fluctuating so much, or it's going to go down by 50% or something like that. I still think the dollar is possibly still going to be around, but its value is going to go down tremendously. It's not going to be the reserve currency anymore. That's going to be replaced by Bitcoin, but let me get into the pattern of what's going to happen. So it's going to be everybody gets scared out of the dollar. They start running towards gold and precious metals. There's not going to be enough precious metals for everybody to go around, obviously. And then people are going to flock to, once there's not enough precious metals to go around, there's also going to be a problem with precious metals in themselves. There's going to be a lot of fake precious metals going around. There's going to be a lot of fake gold, a lot of fake silver. If you don't know it already, there's fake gold and fake silver out there right now, but it's going to be more prominent. And I get this stuff from the Bible where it says people will be throwing their gold and silver out to the streets because it will be rust. Well, it's not rust, it's fake. It's going to be a lot of fake stuff out there. Not only that, we're looking at in the derivatives markets, or there's not going to be the real gold and silver backing some of these contracts out here, some of these ETFs, exchange traded funds. So people are going to start looking for alternatives. The next alternative is going to be Bitcoin. So what's going to happen with Bitcoin to drive people in? It's going to be that precious metal thing I just talked about, where countries around the world are not going to trust that those precious metals are real without doing what you call an assay, of which it's doing a lot of testing. And it's too long. People are going to be attracted to Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency is going to be the world currency, because there is going to be a digital currency that's going to replace all currency. And this is all by design. It's all by design. And I know this by the players that are involved in Bitcoin and these other companies, some of these other digital companies as well. But people are going to look away from precious metals. When are they going to start looking away from it? Because precious metals are going to rise tremendously, but then there's not going to be enough people to have precious metals. There's not enough precious metals to go around for everybody to do transactions, and plus it's hard to break the conversions down. That's why the global elite have created a system that's better to transact with, and they've created digital currencies. But let me get back into what I was saying. I got off track. So people are going to start flocking to Bitcoin when they see the price go up tremendously. Not one time, two times, 100-fold, more than 100-fold. It's going to be thousands of fold that Bitcoin's going to go up. And so people are going to say, they're going to start running to it and stuffing their money into it. So how is it going to go up? All the corporations are insiders. They know what's going to happen already. They just haven't been told to pull the trigger yet. Once the collapse happens, corporations are large. These are mega corporations, the ones that are involved in Bilderberg are going to start dumping their cash inside of Bitcoin, driving the price up tremendously. This is quite obvious. You see the price is at $230. It's being suppressed at this level so that it's not obvious right now at this point. It's so obvious, it's so consistently, so many venture capitalists are moving into the Bitcoin space and the price is not even rising. It's because they're driving the price down. They're trying to keep the price down until there's a crisis. A crisis is going to make all these things come forward and make sense. And there's a lot of predictive programming. A lot of people say, a lot of people don't understand they're being herded into outside of the dollar. Like all this stuff that's bad that's happening in the U.S., it's all predictive programming to let you know that the fall of America is coming. And you see that you see the IRS is spying on Americans. You see Edward Snowden talking about, the U.S. is spying on us. You see the IRS is targeting certain individuals. You see that the government is doing things like Fast and Furious. You see that they're spying on other nations around the world. This is not an accident. All these events are coming up. It's the global elite basically foreshadowing America's destruction. Oh, America was so corrupt. Look in its last days before it got destroyed. All they're doing is foreshadowing America's destruction. So when America gets destroyed, of course, it says in the Bible that they weep because they can no longer, sell, buy and sell from the nation anymore. But a lot of people around the world are going to say, phew, thank you. These guys are starting to be tyrants and all these wars around the world and all this other stuff. So this is all predictive program. That's why Americans need to stand up and say something. Because you're not saying anything while all these other countries are being invaded and their natural resources are being taken over by corporations in the name of America. You're not saying anything. So when it happens to you, nobody's going to stand up for you. But anyways, to reiterate, this is the pattern. I'm telling you guys because it's so obvious to me, but I haven't heard anybody talk about it. You have all these. If you've been watching, there's a website called CoinDesk.com, and you can see all the venture capitalists, all the insiders that are moving into Bitcoin. You got Goldman Sachs moving into Bitcoin, and the biggest smoking gun about this Goldman Sachs thing is they probably a year or 2 years ago they put a director on a Bitcoin startup company called Circle Internet Financial, and I had reported on it before Goldman Sachs just invested $50 million into it. I discussed this probably 6 months before it even happened, and I discussed some other stuff before it happened. We look at Blythe Masters. She was considered the person that was manipulating, or she was involved in manipulating the price of silver down. I reported that her ex-husband started his own Bitcoin. I thought that was kind of weird. I was like, she's tied to him. Little known. Now she's started her own Bitcoin company. I reported this many months before it even happened. This is quite obvious. The insiders know what's going to happen. And people can't figure this stuff out. I'm just giving you a little heads up. Right now, what am I doing? I'm stacking. I've already got precious metals, but I stopped stacking precious metals a long time ago, probably about 2 years ago. I've already got enough. But the real opportunity is going to be in a digital currency. It's probably going to be Bitcoin, most likely, because all the insiders are buying it up. Like I was telling you about Circle Internet Financial. What was so odd is that Goldman Sachs just put in $50 million into this company, and this company has no way of generating money. All the services are entirely free. How the hell do they make money? There's no way for them to make money. Why is Goldman Sachs putting $50 million in this company? It's because they're insiders. They know what's going to happen. They want a way to launder Bitcoin You buy up $50 million of Bitcoin, you hold it within inside the company, the value goes up 1,000-fold, and you just say, oh, we were holding on to all these Bitcoins because, we bought it we threw it in there in the startup phase. Circle Internet Financial has no way of making money. There's just no way of making money. Why would you put $50 million in a company that has no way of making money? Unless, like I said, you know what's about to happen. And I see the price going up tremendously, possibly in September of 2015 when all these a crisis has to occur before the price goes up. And all these crises, of course, I've already said they're manufactured. All right, that's it, folks. I've given you a lot of inside information. Open your eyes. Stop being naive. A lot of people out there are just naive. They believe that the Satoshi fairy came to save them in 2008, which 2008 is the same year that the banks had to get bailed out. It's the same year of the collapse of the financial system. Yeah, that's not a coincidence. Satoshi came out with this paper in the same year of the financial collapse? No. Wake up, smell the coffee. Something big's going to happen. The dollar is going to go down considerably. The banking system is totally built so that when it collapses, when the banks collapse, the creditors inside the unsecured creditors, which are anybody that holds their money in a bank right now is considered an unsecured creditor, will have to bail that bank out. So that's another reason why people are going to move to Bitcoin, because people are going to be scared to put their money in banks once banks start seizing their money under the new rules and regulations that say that unsecured creditors, which are people that have their money in the bank right now, will have to bail out those banks. It's not going to be the government anymore. It's not going to be FDIC. It's not going to be any of that. It's going to be you. And this is how they herd you into digital currency, because you're going to be looking for alternatives. You're going to be like, I'm going to buy precious metals. You're not going to have access to precious metals because all that's going to be all purchased and bought, So the easiest way for people to herd it into is going to be in Bitcoin. The price is going to be, it's going to be rising dramatically. And so people are just, people are just going to move into it because they're going to see the value go up. And that's what's going to push people into it. It's the new digital gold, believe it or not. And it's the only way that, that countries around the world can trust each other. So this is all by design. And I'll make another video about the reasons why it's going to be the global currency. It's not going to be the SDR. People are talking about SDR. No, it's not going to be no SDR. It's going to be a digital currency that can be transacted very fast. This is so obvious. Like I said, I'm stacking. I'm not a Bitcoin hater. I just know what's going to happen before it happens. I usually predict these things. I figure these things out way before it's happening. I was investing in gold way before everybody else, silver way before everybody else. But I also see this pattern. I was seeing this pattern. I was like, man, let me step back. There's too many people. That's the obvious solution, and it's too obvious, right? And I was just like, let me step back. And then I started looking at this. I really started looking into Bitcoin in 2013. And was it 2013? When it went up astronomically. It really didn't make any sense to me. But I'll go into detail about that a little bit later. I just want to give you an insight, a little quick insight into what I was thinking, all these weird things that are happening, and what's going to happen in the future. I'm pretty confident in what I'm talking about. I'm not telling anybody to go out and buy it or anything like that. I've made the case for it, but I'm not telling you to buy it. I've never told anybody I know to go out and buy it because I could be wrong, and I don't want to be responsible for somebody losing lots of money. I just do what I want to do. I've been stacking it, for a while, and that's it. All right, talk to you later. Bye.